The night split open with a cry, the kind that carried heartbreak like broken glass in the throat. Maya said, "I can't breathe with this secret anymore." Her words echoed through her small apartment, vibrating against walls heavy with shame. She had fallen, not for a boy, not for someone safe, but for the man who was never meant to be hers. David, her best friend's father, the one with power in every step, the one with eyes that could burn and soothe in the same glance. She remembered the first time his gaze lingered, how it pierced through her armor of laughter, and how it made her chest ache with forbidden fire. Maya whispered to herself, "I swore I wouldn't, but my heart betrayed me." The rain outside lashed the window, as if the world itself protested her confession. She pressed her forehead to the glass, her reflection fractured by streaks of water. The taste of guilt was sharp on her tongue, yet her pulse raced at the memory of his touch. The room smelled faintly of lavender candles, but the air was thick with tension. Maya said, "I want him, even if it destroys me." The sound of her voice trembled, but she didn't turn away from the truth. She had crossed the line in her heart, and there was no return. Maya woke from restless sleep, sweat beading her brow, as guilt coiled around her ribs like a vice. She said, "I can't escape him, even in my dreams." The morning sun filtered weakly through gray clouds, the city humming outside. She wrapped herself in a blanket, but nothing shielded her from the memory of David's voice, deep and calm, the kind that lingered long after words ended. Her chest tightened. She whispered, "What kind of woman falls for her best friend's father?" The question sliced her pride. Her phone buzzed with a message from Lena, her best friend, filled with mundane chatter. Yet it felt like a dagger of betrayal waiting to be discovered. She clenched her phone, her hand shaking. She said softly, "If she knew, she'd hate me forever." The weight of the secret pressed down like the gray sky, thick and unforgiving. She tried to swallow the ache, but it sat heavy in her throat. Lena burst into Maya's apartment unannounced, laughter spilling in before she did. Lena said, "Girl, you look like death warmed over." Maya forced a smile, but her chest throbbed under the weight of truth. Lena, vibrant and warm, carried an energy Maya envied and feared. The sound of her voice was a reminder of everything Maya risked. Maya said, "Didn't sleep much?" Lena tilted her head, her eyes sharp, suspicion flashing for a second, before softening into concern. She said, "You need to stop thinking so much and start living." Maya laughed, a brittle sound, her throat raw from holding back the storm. Maya sat alone after Lena left, the silence roaring louder than words. She said softly, "She trusts me more than anyone." Her chest tightened. She replayed Lena's laughter, the way it rang pure, untouched by betrayal. Maya closed her eyes, tears sliding down. She thought of David's gaze, how it consumed her in ways no one else had. The memory burned her skin. Maya said, "I'm losing myself." The words echoed in the empty room, fragile and desperate. Later that night, Maya attended Lena's family gathering. The air smelled of spice and laughter, but Maya's heart thudded like a trapped bird. She said quietly, "I shouldn't be here." Then her eyes found him. David stood across the room, commanding in his quiet presence, suit crisp eyes locked on hers. Time fractured. Her breath caught. David said, "Maya." The single word, low and deliberate, melted into her skin like fire. She swayed under its weight, guilt roaring, desire louder. The city woke heavy with rain, streets slick with silver reflections. Maya dragged herself to the cafe where she worked part-time, the bell over the door chiming weakly. She said, "Another day of pretending." Her apron felt heavier than usual, soaked with invisible shame. The hiss of the espresso machine and chatter of strangers filled the air, yet every sound seemed distant. She tried to focus on the rhythm of pouring coffee, counting seconds in silence, but her mind wandered back to David's voice from last night, that single word shaping her soul. She whispered, "Why does his name taste like fire?" Her heart knocked against her ribs, threatening to shatter. Customers came and went, faces blending into each other, but none could distract her. She thought of Lena, her laughter pure and unknowing, and guilt pressed deeper. She clenched her jaw, saying softly, "I can't keep living like this." The rain outside smeared neon lights across the glass, painting the cafe in melancholy shades. Her reflection caught her, eyes too tired, heart too wild. She muttered, "I'm not strong enough to stop." Lena appeared suddenly, slipping into the cafe like she owned the world. She said, "Don't tell me you skipped breakfast again." Maya forced a smile, pouring her a coffee, but the knot in her chest tightened. Lena leaned forward, her eyes playful but sharp. She teased, "You're hiding something." Maya's laugh cracked in the middle, thin as glass. She muttered, "Maybe I'm just tired." Lena studied her, suspicion lingering before dissolving into warmth. She said, "You overthink too much. Live, Maya, just live." Maya's throat burned with words she couldn't release. She wanted to scream, to confess, but her lips stayed sealed. Lena stirred her coffee lazily, her smile bright against the gloom. Maya's fingers trembled as she placed a pastry on the table. She whispered, "You don't know how much I'm breaking." The words never reached Lena, only the empty air. The rain tapped harder, echoing the heartbeat Maya tried to silence. The cafe emptied, leaving Maya in uneasy silence. She wiped tables slowly, her thoughts louder than the rain. Then the bell chimed, and David stepped inside, raincoat dark, presence commanding. Maya froze, the rag slipping from her hand. "David," said softly. "Maya." Her knees weakened at the sound. He moved closer, rain clinging to his shoulders, his gaze steady. Maya whispered, "You shouldn't be here." His voice carried low but firm, "And yet here I am." The world tilted around them, silence expanding, broken only by raindrops on glass. She clenched the counter for balance, her breath unsteady. His eyes pierced her, promising danger and desire at once. Maya said, "If anyone sees us, I'm finished." His lips curved faintly, unreadable. He answered, "Sometimes risking everything is the only truth." Her pulse raced, shame burning with longing that she could not deny. Maya retreated into the stockroom, heart slamming against her ribs. David followed, the small space suffocating with his presence. She said in a broken whisper, "You'll ruin me." His gaze softened, shadows catching on the edges of his face. He answered, "You think I'm not ruined already?" The words sliced her open. Her breath caught as he stepped closer, the air heavy with electricity. She pressed back against the shelves, her body trembling with war between shame and need. Maya whispered, "I'm not allowed to want this." David's hand hovered near hers, not touching, just burning the space between. He said, "Then stop wanting." The silence after felt unbearable. Her throat ached with denial, but her soul screamed with truth. She exhaled, "I can't." The word fractured the air like glass. His eyes darkened, filled with storms of his own. For a moment, the world narrowed to just them, two souls colliding in forbidden gravity. The moment passed, shattered by a voice calling from the front. Maya pushed away, chest heaving, whispering, "We can't do this." David's jaw tightened, but his eyes held her still. He said, "You'll never escape me." She turned, gripping the doorframe as if it might hold her upright. Her body felt like fire and ice, torn apart by war inside her. She thought of Lena, her laughter, her trust, and guilt carved deeper than ever. Maya whispered to herself, "I'm drowning." David stood unmoving, his silhouette sharp against the dim light. He said, "What's between us will destroy or define you." His words clung to her skin, too heavy to shake. She stumbled back into the cafe, mask of composure thin as paper. The customers blurred, the chatter meaningless. Only the echo of David's voice followed her, haunting every step. She thought, "This secret will kill me, or set me free." Night fell heavy over the city, lights flickering on wet streets, and Maya found herself in David's car, silence thick as smoke. She whispered, "I shouldn't be here." The leather seat pressed cool against her legs, her pulse hammering. David's jaw tightened as he drove, his hands steady on the wheel, but his eyes flicked toward her with a heat that burned. He said, "You wanted this as much as I did." The words cut through the silence, sharp and undeniable. Maya pressed her palms together, trembling, her voice cracking. Wanting and surviving are not the same. Rain splattered against the windshield, each drop like a warning. David slowed the car near the riverfront, parking under dim streetlights that cast shadows across his face. He leaned closer, his voice low. "Tell me you don't feel it, and I'll stop." Maya's throat closed, truth and fear strangling her. She whispered, "I feel everything." The air tightened, desire and danger colliding in unbearable weight. Maya lay awake in her apartment later, staring at the ceiling as thunder rolled outside. She whispered, "His touch is still on me." Her sheets felt foreign, tangled around her body like chains. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside, violent and unrelenting. Her phone buzzed again. Lena, asking about tomorrow's plans, her innocence sharp enough to wound. Maya pressed the phone against her chest, whispering, "I'm betraying the only person who sees me whole." She turned to the window, rain flashing against glass, remembering David's gaze that swallowed her whole. Her body burned and froze at once. She whispered, "This will ruin us all." The words hung heavy, unshakable. A crack of lightning split the sky, and she flinched, but the ache in her heart remained. Every thought of him pulled her closer to destruction, yet she couldn't turn away. Sunday afternoon brought a family dinner, and Maya sat across from Lena at the long table, laughter swirling around her like knives. Lena said, "You've been so quiet lately." Maya forced a brittle smile, stabbing her fork into food she couldn't taste. Across the room, David entered, his presence shifting the air. Maya's pulse raced, the sound of his footsteps louder than the chatter. He greeted Lena warmly, then his eyes lingered on Maya a beat too long. She lowered her gaze, whispering, "God help me." The clink of glasses, the warmth of Lena's family, all of it made the secret unbearable. Lena reached over, touching Maya's hand, saying, "You know your family here." Maya's throat closed, the words cutting like glass. She muttered softly, "I don't deserve it." The weight of judgment she imagined pressed down harder than the ceiling above. Later, Maya slipped into the garden behind the house, desperate for air. The night smelled of damp earth, cicadas buzzing faintly. She pressed her palms to her face, whispering, "I'm drowning in this lie." Then footsteps crunched on gravel, and David appeared, his silhouette sharp against the moonlight. He said quietly, "You can't keep running from me." Maya's breath hitched as she turned, her voice breaking, "If Lena ever finds out, she'll hate me forever." David stepped closer, shadows carving his features. He whispered, "And if she never does?" Her chest tightened, torn between rage and desire. She said, "You don't understand what this costs me." His gaze burned, soft yet unyielding. He replied, "I know exactly what it costs, and I'm still here." The garden seemed to close in, heavy with forbidden gravity. Inside again, Lena's cousin Jordan leaned close with a smirk that cut. Jordan said, "You always look guilty around him." Maya's heart stopped, her fork slipping against her plate. She forced a shaky laugh, saying, "What are you talking about?" Jordan tilted his head, eyes narrowing, voice low. He said, "You think people don't notice the way you look at David?" The words stabbed deeper than steel. Maya's hands trembled, her face flushing hot. She muttered, "You're imagining things." But Jordan's grin widened, cruel and knowing. He said, "Secrets don't stay buried long." Maya's chest caved in, panic burning. She whispered to herself, "It's only a matter of time." Across the table, David's voice cut through the room, calm and commanding, pulling eyes toward him, but Maya felt stripped bare already. The night air pressed thick as Maya entered David's study, walls lined with dark wood and shadows. He stood by the desk, eyes stormy. David said, "There's something I never told you." Her chest froze, fear slicing through her. She whispered, "What do you mean?" His jaw tightened as he handed her a folder, its edges trembling in his grip. She opened it, her eyes catching on photos and documents that revealed secrets buried deep. She said, This can't be real." David's voice broke, low and rough. "I was married still when I first saw you. The divorce finalized only months ago." Her breath shattered, heart twisting as betrayal and desire tangled. She muttered, "You made me believe you were free." His shoulders sagged, gaze heavy with regret. He said, "I never meant to lie, but I couldn't lose you." Tears burned in her eyes, guilt and longing tearing her apart. She whispered, "You've already lost me." Maya stumbled outside, the cold air biting as she clutched the folder. Her vision blurred with tears, footsteps crunching gravel. A voice from behind froze her blood. Marcus said, "I always knew he was poison." She turned slowly, eyes locking on the figure she never thought she'd see again. Marcus, the ex who broke her years ago, stood under the dim streetlight, smirk curling on his lips. Maya whispered, "Why are you here?" Marcus stepped closer, his tone sharp. He said, "Because secrets rot everything. And you're drowning in his." Her hands shook as she held the folder tighter. She spat, "You don't get to lecture me." His grin deepened, cruel and knowing. He answered, "I don't need to. He'll destroy you himself." Her stomach knotted, pain bleeding into rage. She turned away, whispering, "Not this time." Yet her heart thudded with the truth she couldn't deny. Marcus had seen straight through her. The following evening, David's office tower loomed above the city, glass gleaming against storm clouds. Maya sat across from him inside, hands folded tight. She said, "Tell me the rest, or I walk." His eyes flickered with exhaustion. He confessed, "There's another life you don't know about, investors, scandals, enemies waiting." Her pulse pounded, anger flaring. She whispered, "So I was just a distraction?" He slammed his fist lightly against the desk, voice sharp, "You are the only thing keeping me alive." Her breath hitched, confusion tearing through her. She muttered, "You've trapped me in lies." His shoulders slumped, sorrow coating every word. He said, "I wanted to shield you, not bury you." The office felt colder, skyscrapers beyond reflecting their fractured faces in glass. She whispered, "Maybe love was just another mask." The silence between them pressed heavier than stone. Maya wandered to Lena's apartment afterward, collapsing on the couch as Lena handed her tea. Lena said, "You've been hiding too much from me." Maya's throat closed, shame rising. She whispered, "You wouldn't understand." Lena's gaze hardened, her voice steady. She said, "I know pain when I see it. Who did this to you?" Tears blurred Maya's vision, her chest aching. She muttered, "I did it to myself." Lena reached for her hand, squeezing tight. She whispered, "You're not alone." The comfort pierced deeper than the pain. Maya leaned forward, trembling, but silence kept her secret chained. She thought, if she knew it was her father, it would kill her. She forced a broken smile, saying, "Thank you for being here." Lena's eyes softened, but suspicion lingered in their depths. The truth hung unspoken, suffocating them both. At midnight, Maya returned to the riverfront where the city lights shimmered over dark waters. David waited, coat collar raised against the wind. He said, "You came back." Her voice cracked, only to end this. His eyes darkened, storm breaking inside them. He stepped closer, whispering, "Don't pretend you don't want me." Her body trembled, rage and desire locked in war. She said, "You've lied too much." His hand hovered near hers, not touching, but pulling her closer with invisible gravity. He answered, "Then let the truth be this. I love you." The words crushed her, sharp and tender. She whispered, "Love isn't enough." Tears streaked as she turned toward the water, her reflection fractured by ripples. The night roared with silence, their hearts breaking louder than the wind. The storm finally broke inside the penthouse, rain hammering the glass walls as Maya stood across from David. Her voice cracked, "You've taken everything from me. He stepped forward, jaw tight, his voice rough. He said, "I only wanted you." Her chest heaved, rage flaring. She spat, "You lied, you broke me." The silence between them snapped like a whip, air charged with fire and grief. He ran a hand over his face, shoulders sagging. He muttered, "I can't lose you now." Maya's hands clenched, tears burning her eyes. She whispered, "You already have." His eyes locked on hers, pain etched into every line of his face. He said, "Then hate me, but don't walk away." Thunder roared as she shook her head, her heart splintering. She whispered, "Love shouldn't hurt this much." At the dinner the next evening, Lena's laughter filled the room, but Maya couldn't breathe. The weight of truth pressed hard as she watched David greet his daughter with warmth that tore her apart. Lena said, "Dad, you always disappear lately." David chuckled softly, his eyes flicking once toward Maya, sharp and fleeting. Maya's heart dropped, panic crawling under her skin. She whispered, "This is hell." Lena turned to her with a grin. She said, "You're too quiet, Maya. What's wrong?" Maya's lips parted, but no words came. The silence felt like confession itself. David cleared his throat, breaking tension with practiced charm, but his gaze betrayed him. Maya clenched her fork, whispering inside, "She can never know." The truth erupted later in the kitchen, Lena's voice trembling with rage. She screamed, "It's him, isn't it?" Maya froze, heart pounding, every secret unraveling in an instant. She stammered, "Lena, please listen." Lena's face twisted, betrayal dripping from every word. She said, "You were my sister, my friend. And all this time, you were with my father?" Maya's knees weakened, tears burning her cheeks. She whispered, "I never meant to hurt you." Lena shook her head violently, hands trembling. She spat, "You've destroyed everything." The room spun, words sharper than knives cutting Maya down. From the hallway David appeared, his face pale with dread. He said, "Lena, stop." But his voice only fueled the fire. Lena's scream broke the night, raw and unforgiving, echoing off every wall. The confrontation shifted into chaos. Lena's sobs ripped through the silence, her voice breaking. She said, "How could you both do this to me?" David reached for her, but she shoved him back, her eyes blazing. Maya whispered, "I love you, Lena. I swear I never wanted this to happen." Lena's laugh came bitter and cracked. She said, "You don't get to say love after betrayal." David's face hardened, voice low, but urgent. He said, "Enough. This ends here." Maya's breath hitched, the world narrowing to this single moment where family, loyalty, and desire clashed. She whispered, "We've already burned everything." Lena collapsed into a chair, her sobs shaking her body. David stood rigid, torn between control and despair. The kitchen air reeked of broken trust. The night shattered when Lena stormed out, slamming the door, her cry still echoing. Maya collapsed against the wall, sobbing. She said, "She'll never forgive me." David stood silent, guilt crushing his broad shoulders. He whispered, "I never wanted to destroy her." Maya's face lifted, eyes blazing through tears. She spat, "But you did, and you dragged me down with you." His lips parted, but no words came. The silence roared, filled with the weight of their collapse. Maya said, "Whatever this was, it's over." David's face broke, his mask finally gone, sorrow carved deep. He muttered, "You'll regret leaving." She shook her head, whispering, "No, I'll regret staying." The air between them fractured, love collapsing under the weight of truth. The morning after was a graveyard of silence. Maya sat on her bed, body heavy with exhaustion, eyes swollen from crying. She whispered, "I don't even recognize myself anymore." Her phone lay untouched, Lena's name glowing unanswered. The weight of her best friend's betrayal lingered like poison, each second more unbearable. David's voice replayed in her head, rough and desperate, but she clamped her hands over her ears. She muttered, "I can't hear him, not anymore." Her reflection in the mirror mocked her with hollow eyes. She pressed her palms against her face, shaking, whispering, "I need to be stronger than this." Outside, the world carried on, sunlight slipping through curtains, cruel in its indifference. Maya's chest ached with the need to reclaim herself, even as her heart begged for what was killing her. She said, "If I don't walk away now, I'll lose everything." Later that afternoon, Lena stormed into Maya's apartment unannounced. The door slammed, her voice raw with anger. Lena shouted, "You ruined me, Maya." Maya flinched, her body shrinking under the blow of words, sharper than any blade. She whispered, "Please, let me explain." Lena's eyes blazed, her fists clenched at her sides. She spat. "Explain what? That you stole my father from me?" Maya's tears fell heavy, her hands trembling as she reached out. She said, "I never meant to hurt you. I love you, Lena." Lena's laugh came bitter, hollow. She said, "Love doesn't betray like this." The room shook with the weight of their broken bond, silence ripping deeper than screams. Maya's chest collapsed, grief swallowing her whole. As Lena stormed out, David appeared at the threshold, eyes hollow, face lined with guilt. Maya turned to him, her voice trembling with rage. She spat, "You've destroyed the only family I had." His lips parted, his voice rough. He said, "I'll fix this, Maya." She laughed bitterly, shaking her head. She muttered, "You can't fix ashes." His shoulders slumped, his frame looking smaller under the weight of guilt. He stepped inside, his tone low, desperate. He said, "I need you. Don't leave me now." Maya's chest twisted with conflicting fire, but she steadied her voice. She whispered, "Needing me doesn't erase the lies." His eyes burned, but no words could save him. The silence cracked, their love bleeding out into nothing. Maya wandered through the city at dusk, the streets alive but distant. Neon lights blurred into rivers of color as she whispered, "I need to choose myself." She walked past strangers who laughed and held hands, the sting of her solitude piercing deeper. Every step felt heavy, yet freeing, the sound of her boots echoing against cracked pavement. She said softly, "I can't carry him or her anymore." Her chest lifted with resolve, though grief clawed at her ribs. The city roared on, unaware of the quiet war inside her. She muttered, "I need to reclaim who I am, scars and all." For the first time in days, her breath steadied. The night no longer mocked her, it challenged her to stand. That night, Maya returned home, the quiet heavier than before, but her steps steadier. She lit a candle, its flame small but stubborn. She whispered, "I'll survive this." She sat on the couch, pulling her blanket close, letting the silence settle without fear. For the first time, she didn't replay David's words or Lena's accusations. Instead, she heard her own voice. She said, "I deserve more than secrets." Her eyes closed, tears sliding down gently, not in collapse, but release. The city hummed outside, alive and indifferent, yet she felt rooted, breathing in fragments of peace. She whispered, "This pain won't define me. I will." The candle flickered, fragile but unbroken, just like her. The silence after the storm pressed down heavy, thicker than any scream. Maya sat alone at her window, staring into the night where city lights flickered like dying stars. She whispered, "It's finally over." Her chest still ached, but the rage and chaos had quieted into emptiness. She wrapped her blanket tighter, the weight of her own choices pressing harder than any judgment. She thought of Lena's face, shattered by betrayal, and of David's eyes, dark with sorrow. She muttered, "I'll carry their ghosts forever." The night air seeped in through the cracked window, sharp and cold. She closed her eyes, whispering, "But I'm still here." The next day, Maya walked through the park, autumn leaves scattering under her boots. The air smelled of earth and rain, soft sunlight pushing through gray clouds. She whispered, "Each step is mine now." Her heart still cracked, but the rhythm of walking steadied her breathing. Families laughed in the distance, reminding her of everything she'd lost, yet also what still existed beyond her grief. She pressed her hand against her chest, whispering, I will not be defined by secrets. The ache remained, but it no longer controlled her. For the first time, her reflection in passing windows didn't feel like a stranger. That evening, Maya sat with Lena outside a cafe, their silence heavier than words. Lena's eyes were swollen from tears, her voice sharp but tired. She said, "I don't forgive you." Maya's throat closed, but she nodded, whispering, "I don't deserve it." Lena looked away, the wound still raw, but she muttered, "You were my sister. And now, I don't know who you are." Maya's tears slipped silently down, her voice trembling. She whispered, "I don't know either." The cafe lights glowed warm behind them, mocking their fractured bond. For a moment, Lena's eyes softened, then hardened again. She said, "Don't expect me back." Maya whispered, "I'll still love you." The silence after was colder than the night air. Later that night, David stood in his office alone, the city glowing behind him. His reflection in the glass looked older, hollow. He whispered, "I lost them both." His hands rested on the desk, knuckles white with pressure. The room was silent except for the hum of the city below. His mind replayed Maya's words, Lena's screams, his own failures bleeding into every memory. He muttered, "Power couldn't save me." The walls that once symbolized control now felt like a cage. He sank into his chair, head bowed, whispering, "What's left of me now?" His empire glittered outside, but inside he was ruined. Back in her apartment, Maya lit a candle, flames small but defiant. She whispered, "This pain is mine, and I'll rise from it." She closed her eyes, letting the silence settle, not as an enemy, but as proof she survived. She thought of Lena's shattered trust, of David's haunted eyes, and of her own reflection, scarred but alive. She whispered, "I will not disappear into their shadows." A tear slid down, but her lips curved faintly. The final words escaped soft as smoke. "I'll never love this way again, and maybe that's my salvation." The candle flickered, casting light against the dark, leaving her silhouette unbroken.